You know, retirement's supposed to be relaxing. That's the image they sold us, right? You've got more time, more freedom, less pressure. But here's something almost no one tells you. For many people, the first months of retirement, they're actually filled with worry. You finally stop working, and suddenly your mind gets louder. You start worrying about money, about health, about whether you retire too early, or too late for that matter, about whether you're doing retirement right. And if that sounds familiar, let me say this clearly, right up front. Folks, you're not broken. You didn't mess this up. And you're definitely not alone. You know, the transition into retirement, it's bigger than most people really expect. It's not just a financial change. It's a mental and emotional one. But here's the good news. Over time, I realized that many of the worries that I carried into retirement, they were completely unnecessary. And once I let them go, retirement became calmer, became lighter, definitely became more enjoyable. So today, I want to walk you through the things that I personally stopped worrying about after retirement and why letting them go made such a big difference. So if you've been feeling anxious, settled, or even second guessing your decision to retire, I think this conversation is going to be for you. Number one, I stopped worrying about the market. You know, ups and downs. Before retirement, and especially right after, it's incredibly easy to obsess over it. You watch the news, you see headlines, you hear words like volatility, correction, uncertainty, and suddenly every dip feels personal. You know, I used to check balances more than I'd really like to admit, sometimes daily, sometimes multiple times a day. But here's what I eventually learned. You know, constant checking, it doesn't create control. It creates anxiety. You know, the market will go up and the market's going to go down. That's not a flaw, folks. That's just how it works. What matters far more than daily movement is, are your essentials covered? Do you have flexibility? Can your plan adjust if needed? You know, once I trusted that my plan didn't rely on perfect conditions, I just stopped reacting emotionally to every headline. And almost immediately, my stress level dropped. Number two, I stopped obsessing over inflation. Folks, inflation is another fear that just loves to sneak into your retirement. Every article seems designed to scare you. Costs are rising, your savings won't last. Retirement is more expensive than ever. And yes, prices change. But here's the thing I had to learn. Inflation headlines talk in averages. Retirement's lived. Personally, retired life doesn't look like working life. You're not commuting, you're not buying work clothes, you're not eating out the same way you used to. Your spending priorities shift. Instead of worrying about abstract numbers, I focused on my actual expenses, my actual lifestyle, my actual needs. That grounded the conversation back in reality, not fear. Number three, I stopped stressing over Social Security projections. Social Security causes more anxiety than it deserves, really. You know, people worry, will it run out? Will benefits change? Am I claiming at the right time? Who knows? Here's what I realized. You can't control the system, but you can control how you plan around it. Once I made informed decisions and accepted that no system is perfectly predictable, I stopped replaying what-if scenarios. Worrying endlessly didn't add security, folks. It stole your peace. It stole my peace. And peace matters in retirement more than perfection. Let me take a quick pause here. Folks, if this kind of calm, practical conversation is helpful for you, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I focus on clarity, real-life perspective, and removing unnecessary stress, not hype, fear, or pressure. Let's get back into it. Number four, I stopped comparing my retirement to other people's. This one surprised me. You know, retirement envy is real. You see friends traveling constantly, neighbors remodeling their homes, social media highlight reels, and suddenly you wonder, are we doing enough? Should we be spending more? I don't know. Are we missing out here? Here's the truth I had to accept. Other people's retirements, they're not your benchmark. You don't see their stress, their debt, their health concerns, their private trade-offs. Peace comes from living your version of retirement, not someone else's. You know, once I stopped measuring myself against others, I felt lighter almost immediately. Number five, I let go of the need for a perfect retirement plan. Folks, this one's huge, really. Many retirees believe everything must be calculated down to the last dollar. But life doesn't work that way, really. Even the best plans They're going to change. Your health changes, markets change almost daily, priorities change. What matters more than perfection is flexibility. When I accepted that surprises are part of life, not signs of failure, I stopped overthinking and started living. Number 6, I stopped overthinking small spending decisions. Retirees often burn mental energy on tiny decisions. Should we spend $50 here? Should we take this trip now or should we wait? Should we upgrade this or hold off? Here's what I learned. Most small decisions, they don't define retirement. Big picture priorities, they matter a lot more. Stability, enjoyment, health, relationships. Once I focused there, daily choices became easier and really less emotional. Number 7, I stopped worrying about having a perfect schedule. Work life trains us to live by the clock. Retirement doesn't. At first, that freedom can feel uncomfortable. You wonder, what should I be doing? Am I wasting time? Eventually I realized something important. Rest doesn't need to be justified. Some days are quiet, some days are full. Both of those days are valid, folks. Letting go of rigid expectations, they made retirement feel like freedom instead of uncertainty. Number 8, I stopped taking every piece of advice personally. Everyone has opinions about your retirement. Friends, family, strangers online. Not all advice applies to your life. Once I started listening selectively and trusting my own judgment, I felt more confident in my choices. You don't need universal approval to live well, folks. What letting go made possible, once I realized these worries, space opened up. Space for enjoyment, gratitude, presence, peace of mind. That's what retirement's really about. Quick final thought here. If you want a calmer, happier retirement, remember, stop obsessing over money. You can't control it. Stop comparing yourself to others. Stop chasing perfection. Stop sweating the small stuff. Stop taking all the advice personally. Letting go of unnecessary worry doesn't mean you're being careless. It means you're being wise, grounded, and kind to yourself. Folks, if this message resonated with you a little bit, I recommend watching the next video. 5 signs you're ready to retire comfortably and enjoy it. I think it walks you through how to recognize readiness, not perfectly, but confidently. And if you want calm, honest conversations about retirement without the hype, without the pressure, without the scare tactics, make sure you're subscribed to Retired Under Budget. Folks, I'd like to thank you for spending a few moments of your time with me here today, and I'll see you in the next one.